Aristotle was born in the year 384 BC in a small town called Stagira in northern Greece. His father was the personal physician to the king of Macedon, which meant Aristotle grew up surrounded by medicine, biology, and close observation of the natural world. From the beginning, he was trained not just to believe things, but to examine them. When Aristotle was 17 years old, he traveled to Athens, the intellectual center of the Greek world. There, he entered Plato's academy, the most famous school in the ancient world. Plato believed that reality was made of perfect, invisible forms, and that the physical world was only a shadow of a deeper truth. Aristotle admired Plato deeply, but he did not fully agree. Plato looked upward, toward abstract ideals. Aristotle looked outward, toward nature itself. He wanted to understand the world not by imagining it, but by observing it. Aristotle spent 20 years at the academy, learning, teaching, and debating. But after Plato's death, he left Athens. Soon after, he was invited to tutor a young prince named Alexander of Macedon. That boy would become Alexander the Great. Aristotle taught Alexander philosophy, science, ethics, politics, and logic. He taught him that a ruler must be guided by reason rather than impulse. When Alexander later conquered much of the known world, he sent back plants, animals, and observations so Aristotle could study them. After Alexander rose to power, Aristotle returned to Athens and founded his own school, the Lyceum. There, he created something new, a systematic way of studying everything. He and his students walked as they discussed ideas, which is why they were called the Peripatetics, meaning those who walk about. Aristotle did not divide knowledge into separate fields the way we do today. To him, all knowledge was connected. He studied biology, physics, astronomy, psychology, politics, poetry, rhetoric, ethics, and logic. He was the first person in history to attempt to categorize all living things. He dissected animals. He recorded their organs, behaviors, and habitats. He believed that understanding life meant studying it directly. In physics, Aristotle believed that every object had a natural place. Earth and water moved downward. Air and fire moved upward. Motion, to Aristotle, always required a cause. In astronomy, he believed the Earth was at the center of the universe. Though incorrect, this idea shaped science for nearly 2,000 years. But his greatest and most lasting achievement was in logic. Aristotle invented formal logic, the system we still use today. He created the syllogism, a way to test whether conclusions follow from premises. For example, all humans are mortal. Socrates is human. Therefore, Socrates is mortal. This method became the foundation of mathematics, science, and philosophy. In ethics, Aristotle did not believe in absolute rules. He believed that the goal of life was eudaimonia, often translated as flourishing or well-being. To live well was to live in balance. Virtue, he taught, was the middle between extremes. Courage was the balance between cowardice and recklessness. Generosity was the balance between greed and waste. We become good, Aristotle said, not by thinking about virtue, but by practicing it. In politics, he believed humans were naturally social. The city-state existed to allow people to live good lives together. The best government was one that balanced power and served the common good. Aristotle also wrote about art and storytelling. In his book Poetics, he explained tragedy as a way to release emotion through pity and fear. This idea still shapes movies, novels, and theater today. When Alexander died, political chaos followed. Because of his ties to Macedonia, Aristotle was accused of treason in Athens. Rather than face trial, he fled. He said he would not allow Athens to sin twice against philosophy, referring to the execution of Socrates. He died 1 year later. In 322 BC, Aristotle left behind more knowledge than any single person in the ancient world. For centuries, his writings became the foundation of science, medicine, philosophy, and education. Even today, when we use logic, classify life, debate ethics, or analyze stories, we are still walking in Aristotle's footsteps. He taught humanity how to think.